Hello, everybody, and welcome back to this episode of Like Father, Like Daughter. I'm the daughter, obviously.
And I'm the father, Father Nine. Hello, everybody.
Yep, and we just want to thank you guys again for all the engagement on the channel and our videos so far.
Thank you.
This is going to be our third and final video about Arcane Season 1. As everybody knows, the next season will be out at this time that we're filming it, literally tomorrow. So we wanted to make sure we got this part out before we end up talking about Season 2.
Yes, and I can't wait one more day until season 2 is released.
As you guys know, we have our tiers ready. I came up with new tiers this time, as I said I was going to do. So starting with tier A. Tier A, obviously, again, is Vi Arcane, because she's still my favorite character. I almost took her off there, but I'll get into that later.
Wow.
I know I almost changed the name of the top tier, but I didn't change it because Tier B is in the club, we all fam. And that's a TikTok trend right now. Daddy doesn't know it.
Of course not.
Do you know them? No. But in the club, we all fam. What? In the club, we all fam. In the club, we are all family. Are you racist?
Tier C is Twitter warrior. So that is somebody who is problematic, but you would still defend their behavior. And then tier D is boring.
Yawning, sloppy, lazy.
And then tier F is learn to speak when spoken to. So the first two characters we're gonna do are gonna be Kate and Vi. So for me, obviously Vi's gonna be, she almost got put in B this time, but you know what? At the end, I was like, let me think about this, and I put her back in A as I always do. And Caitlyn, you might have moved up to A. I don't know.
I'm gonna keep her in. I'm gonna say C. I think that's where she belongs for me. And Vi, I think Vi might have fell down one for me because some of the things I think that she did is a little bit questionable. So I can't keep her in A. I think Vi is going to be in B now. So tier B.
Jace and Victor. So Jace for me actually moved up. Everybody at home, I know you're shocked. I was shocked too, and I was actually kind of mad.
Yeah, I agree. I think Jace is definitely in the club now. I think I had him there already anyway, but yeah, he's still in the club because I like him, but he got on my nerves a little bit.
And then Victor.
Victor,
I was really liking Victor this second rewatch. In the club, we all fam, Victor. You moved up. Congratulations.
wow, we agree again. This is crazy.
I know.
Yeah, Victor, I agree. I don't know where I had him before, but he definitely jumped up. I think 2. Because I think he was like Clap
He was in Clap If You
Cared.
Cared, which was our D tier last week.
Yep. So Victor jumped up 2 because he did redeem himself.
And then the next one, so we can do Echo and Heimerdinger together next.
All right.
For me, Echo, I really like him, but I don't know if we're all fam.
I'm putting Echo in A.
Really?
Yeah, because if not for him, both, Vi would have been gone. She was like about to be taken out by Jinx. And if not, I think her and Caitlyn, as a matter of fact.
For me, Heimerdinger, I felt bad for you, and I still do, but I don't care, really. So I'll just put you in Twitter Warrior. And I guess after your explanation about Echo, I'll move him back.
Heimerdinger, I'm going to give him a D, boring. He was kind of like wandering about lost and not sure what to do with himself now that he got knocked down several pegs. And I really want him to say what it is that he knows.
And so next we have Mel and her mom, I think is Ambessa. Mel, I like ya. You get a B. In the club, we all fam. Your mother, I don't really like her much. So I'll put her, but she's not boring to me. But I also wouldn't defend her actions.
A Twitter warrior. I don't know. I think Mel is still a Twitter warrior for me because I want her to say what she's keeping too.
And then I think our last, I guess we could do a rapid fire of people who are no longer with us. Silco, Sky, Marcus. We can also throw
Who's
Savika
Sky?
in there. Sky was the, well, see, he already started.
Because she's not in my.
She's the assistant that Victor
Oh.
massacred in cold blood. Yeah, Sky, I remember you.
Wow.
I remember you.
Gone but not forgotten.
Clearly, she is forgotten. So now we'll get into our thoughts and our reactions and everything of episode 7, 8, and 9. So first and foremost, obviously, we saw throughout these episodes that war was brewing between the two factions again. Even though everybody claimed that they tried to stop it, they really didn't work that hard because I feel like everybody was just doing things that obviously would have started a war.
Yeah, and I know there were some border issues. I did write this down in my notes, but I'm not exactly sure what those were. But I expect either that's going to come back up in season 2. But there's definitely something going on there in terms of at the border and other states outside of Pilco. Is it Pilco?
No,
What-
Piltover.
Pilto.
You, Piltover.
Pilto.
You still didn't say it, right, Andy?
I felt like these last 3 episodes were pretty intense. They kicked things up a notch for me. You know, my themes were being left alone.
Someone being a savior.
Yeah, and then someone needing to be saved. So those were my 2 themes of 4. But this, now I feel like things were just like intense and all about the war, the coming of war.
I really thought it was interesting how there's like it seems to be a lot of propaganda that gets thrown around about either side. And, people spreading things that they don't know necessarily are true, but whatever will combine the most forces against a common enemy is what they choose to spread. And so, I don't know. I think that's really interesting to tell how about all the different sides of how war can really start and spiral out of control. And also, like, it became very, very clear that even though Jace thought it wasn't going to happen, that they were using his technology for not the greater good, actually for to take away more lives and cause more chaos and harm. Jace was starting to succumb to the propaganda that he was hearing about how, like, all they want to do is hurt us and all they want to do, even though, like, what Zahn wants is independence.
It reminds me, just thinking about the overall story itself. So Piltover and Zahn, they're the external factions in terms of war. And then here Jinx is, she's having they amped up her mental health issues to me in episode 7, right? She's having that internal war with herself, and her fracture is getting worse. I mean, I took note of the different scenes that they kept showing with her in the mirror, and how every time she looked in the mirror, it was fractured. And to me, I'm like, wow, that's a good note. I like the way how they did that, and they showed us what she was battling with. But then also the parallel on the war. I just thought that was very interesting. How there was this external war going on, and all the while Jinx is here and she's having this internal war about within herself, about what she had did in terms of killing all the boys and being left alone and all of that stuff. So I just found that fascinating how the two, were parallels.
Yeah, I feel like she's not the only character who we get shown like the internal struggle of. There's also like what Victor did these last couple episodes, but
I didn't think about Victor.
Yeah, and there's a lot. I feel like there's a lot of Victor and Jinx parallels, like the use of science to better themselves, but also like the way that they better themselves has a lot of harm that trickles down on the people that they love and care about. I mean, Victor literally killed somebody by accident, but he still did kill someone. And I think and then he almost killed himself afterwards because it weighed so much on his spirit. And I think the show is really good at showing you the benefits, but also the costs of science and the internal struggle that people deal with when they are inventing things.
It does, which leads me to the fact of the scene where Echo, he's showing Vi around the treehouse and, where they're living now. And he's taken on the role of, of Vander, right? He's protecting all of those kids. Then he showed Vi the mural of everybody that they lost. So to your point, all of this that's happening, there is a price to pay. There's a lot of death that we have seen throughout all 3 acts, but that is something that now, to me, is cohesive. It's from the beginning up until now.
I think one of the narrative through lines is what it means to be a parent, or like a parent figure, especially like what it means to have a daughter. Because one of the things that I believe Silco says when he's visiting Vander's grave is like, there's nothing so undoing as a daughter. Because the doctor who created the shimmer for him mentioned he used to have a daughter, and it affected how he carried out his life. Vander sacrificed himself for his children, but particularly his daughters, Vi and Jinx. And Mel and her mother, like that's a big relationship in the show, even though it just came in now. Like the effects of it were always overlooking the entire show, because Mel acts the way she does because she was banished from her family,
right?
And she's also her mom's second child, because her mom had a son first and he died, and then all of this pressure was transferred to Mel.
And was she adopted?
I was thinking that.
Because
that's what I thought.
There was the one point where the mom was like, she wanted her to kill the girl. It seemed to me like she was saying, I'll make you my daughter. Like, you can be a part of this family.
I actually watched Blood, Sweat, and Tears, I believe is the name of the song that they wrote about Mbessa's origin. Because her and Mel are both from Noxus, which is like to me, like warmongering society where they go and they just like, it's like very imperialistic, and they go around and they conquer all these different islands or places. And Piltover is one of the places I feel like they ended up conquering. Because we were talking about last episode if Heimerdinger was the one who put Mel in power, but we never considered if they were just conquered and Mel took power that way. Like because her mom essentially says she gifted Piltover to Mel because of how soft Mel was running the other colonies that they had. And she was like, I think your softness in the way that you rule will be better suited for these people, these soft people, essentially. And so, yeah, I had wrote down in my notes that, Mel had a brother. But we know that from the music video that her mom was pregnant with the son, and her son was marked for death, whereas the mom was saved because she serves, I don't remember the name of the god that she was saved by, but it's a god that profits off of war and death. And Mbessa was seen as like a huge beacon of destruction and death and chaos. So I think that's really interesting, and I wonder if they'll touch on that more in season 2.
Yeah, I would like to know more. Especially, just in general about Mel's background and her mom in particular, to hear more of their story and kind of, how Piltover came to be in the state that it is today.
Because something that her mom says to her is, like, the world is yours if you prove you can take it. And so, like, this whole thing, Mel's whole journey has been proving herself to her mother, and I guess at some point she divorced from that, which is why she was so upset when Mbessa came and tried to use Mel's brother's death as a way to like wiggle back into running another colony. Because I feel like the Piltover is not just a colony to Mel. At first, when you're watching the show, it really seems like she has a very sinister energy, but she's definitely, I think she's moving,
a protector.
Yeah, I think she was moving in the way that she was, like rushing Jace about Hex Tech because she knew her mom was gonna come. I think she was trying to protect them, because she even says she doesn't want war with the Undercity. She wants them. She's the one who, at the end of the show, which Jinx, why are you always blowing stuff up before you know what's gonna happen? But Mel is the first one who says, like, I want peace. Like, if that means, she steps back and says, I don't want to be remembered as like this imperialistic bloodthirsty leader. I want to be remembered for peace. As a leader, sometimes you have to make hard decisions, and everybody's not gonna like it. So
right. And just everything that comes along with Jinx, right? Maybe she also realized that, hey, it's not going to be easy to take her down, and we don't want that smoke. So
yeah, it's like, it's war would kill thousands of more people than just essentially making the diplomatic decision, and because the truth of the matter is Zahn is not prepared to be an independent society, and I think that they don't, like Silco for example does not think about that before he acts the way that he does,
Right.
because he's so driven by anger and hatred that you're not thinking like you're cutting your city off at the knees, because you rely on Piltover, whether or not they give you as much as you need or not.
Yeah.
You won't have anything if you sever that relationship.
Right. And they don't have resources,
No,
tons of
none.
resources, which we've seen. So,
No
yeah.
schools, no, like there's no career. That's
Nothing.
why there's so many people working in the Silco's mines. These children, they should be at school, because you know what they're doing in Piltover from 9 to 5? They're going to school. Whereas from 9 to 5, these children are working in these horrible conditions, mining shimmer for Silco,
Yeah.
who claims he wants the best for Zahn. You don't want the best for anybody.
And getting taken out.
Exactly.
Trying to protect the mines and things like that.
We saw the repercussions of that when Jace and Vi and the enforcers end up raiding the place and people die. And we only saw one child, but I'm sure there was more.
Right. And my thing was Silco also mentioned to that kid's mom, he's like, oh well, good thing your son is dead, because I would have killed him, like, for what happened here. And I'm just like, wow, see, you are just on another level, which is why
But God forbid anybody
he could only
try
come
that.
up just a little bit.
Right. God forbid anybody try that with Jinx. If Silco wronged them, they go after Jinx. Now he want to act crazy.
Right.
It's like the double standard. And it's the conversation of whether or not Silco loved Jinx or not is like something that the Arcane fandom has been discussing for a long time. And for me, I feel like it's not as black and white as did he love her or not. Because I feel like, for me at least, watching the show a second time and how I felt even the first time I watched it was he loved what she could do for him and what he had created. He didn't love her, because if he loved her, he would have also loved Powder.
Yeah, well, I mean, I also think he had some issues.
But that's
too.
not an excuse, I feel like.
I think that he did love her, because when I think back about the stuff that he let her do to him, like stabbing him in the face with that needle, and he wouldn't, he would not have let anybody else do that to him. I know he definitely felt something. I feel like he did love her, but it was in his own, as much as he could love somebody, like that's his version of love.
Well, I don't know if that's completely true that he wouldn't let anybody else, because he let Savika do whatever too.
But not like stab him in the...
Well, she didn't ever try to stab him, but he thought that she was going to betray him, and he wasn't even going to defend himself when those gangs came, and she ended up choosing him over the gang. Like, but he would have sat there and died, because Silco, I guess, it's like he's all bark, and I feel like no bite. He's always getting Jinx or Savika to do his dirty work.
Yeah.
But if you go and you fight Silco, you'll probably win. That's what he said to Marcus when Marcus thought about blowing up the office, but he didn't do it because he has no spine. But people who have spine, there's no reason to be afraid of Silco. And I think in a weird way, like Savika and Jinx were his family unit, but it wasn't at all a healthy family unit. And
not at all.
At all. And that's why I was saying I feel like he loved what he made Jinx be.
To me, Jinx wants to be good, but she doesn't know how to stay good, right? Because there is so much trauma that she's been through, and she doesn't know how to deal with that. She can't deal with that. She's not capable of dealing with that. She doesn't even trust her own self.
Because I feel like, and something that I watched some of the behind the scenes on, like Fortiche, who's the company that animated the show, and they made different rigs for when Powder is fronting versus when Jinx is fronting. Like Jinx has sharper angles in her face, whereas Powder is rounder, and that's just like an animation technique based off of what characters are good and what characters we're meant to trust as an audience and things like that. But obviously there are times when she uses it to her advantage, but there are also a lot of times, and in my opinion, a lot more times where she can't control when Powder comes out.
Right.
And I don't even think she needs Vi to do that. As we saw in the, if you guys go ahead and watch the season 2 trailer, she's slowly coming back to Powder because she's not meant to be one or the other. She's in the middle. And I think, like you said, like people capitalize off of the fact that, like you said, she has that fracture going on. Vi's trying to force her to be Powder, and Silco's trying to force her to be Jinx. And it's like it's
causing the
both.
war.
Yeah,
right. She
she's
is both. And she's always been both. As far as I can tell, she's been both. It's just that when she's Jinx, it's on steroids. Like that bad side of her is on steroids.
One of the things that I thought was really interesting is that this batch of episodes, Jinx is associated with the crow. And I'm wondering, like, what was the choice? At first, I thought it was a raven, but ravens and crows look very similar, so it could still be one or the other. But I thought it was interesting that they associated her with, like, a bird who I feel like is, like, usually associated with death and all these other things. But
A scavenger.
yeah, scavenger, you know, very scrappy bird, but also very intelligent bird. And depending on what scenario you put it in, it could be, you know, something that represents death, or it could be something that represents, like, innovation, evolution too, because, you know, crows can talk and things like that. So I thought that was interesting. And then Echo is associated with the firelight bug, which is their equivalent of fireflies, which is, you know, light and, you know, life and
Everything that Jinx was not.
I'm interested and excited to see how Jinx reforms all of her relationships in season 2, because we know Act 1 she's still going to be mostly Jinx. And especially because I know for a fact that the Vi and Jinx fight we've been seeing in the teasers is definitely something that comes in Act 1. I feel like that's going to be the end of Act 1, and that'll be like one of the things that causes Jinx to reevaluate what is important to her. And I also am interested to see her relationship with Savika grow, because we also see in the teasers that Savika saves Jinx at one point from when she was claiming she hated her so bad. But again, there's that family.
But now she's become Jinx family, which is funny because so she's had Vander, you know, she's had Vi, then she's had Vander, then she had Silco, and now she's got Savika.
And speaking of family and loss in life, Caitlyn's mother is gone.
Oh.
Her mother is dead.
Wow.
Because her mom
mother?
was a counselor.
Guilty.
At the end of the episode, Jinx blew the whole counselor.
Yeah, we didn't see it explode, but I'm sure that bomb.
They're dead. I know you said we didn't see anybody blow up or anything, but we know at least Caitlyn's mom didn't survive, because that's like the inciting incident of season 2. Is Caitlyn's going after Jinx because her mother died, and she's working with Ambessa to do so. But what I feel like that begs the question of is Mel dead? Because like people were saying
they were all there. Jace was there.
I know, but we know that Jace is surviving. Right. Like, so that's what I'm saying. And Mel, it did hit her right in the back, but I feel in my heart of hearts that Mel is alive. Because I just don't think that... I think people are using the fact that Caitlyn's motivation is because her mom died, that they'll think Ambessa's doing it because Mel died. But we know that Ambessa came to Piltover to wage a war anyway. Mel might just be out of commission, and Ambessa's going to take that
she's going to use that to take over, because Mel's not capable, so she's like, hey, I can do what I want now. I think Echo's also going to have a big part again in season 2. Because I think, you know, Heimerdinger, he is grooming him for something. You know, there's that whole tinkering aspect that I keep coming back to. That's going to be very important. And we know that Echo's got that bug too, right? His whole board and thing that he built, his hoverboard. You know, that intrigued Heimerdinger.
He's very smart.
He's smart. He's very smart.
I think that Heimerdinger sees in him somebody who is like altruistic. I think the difference between like all the people that Heimerdinger has been that have been prodigies of him, like they still have that selfish streak. And Echo has proved even in a short time that he doesn't have that.
Yeah, so I think we are going to see that from Echo, and there's more in his story arc that we haven't seen yet. So maybe that's kind of why he was like downplayed in the first season, because he's going to have such a big role in season 2. That's my $5 bet.
And then going back to Ambessa a little bit, because we talked about this when we were ranking her, but she is very, very smart about how she uses her position of power to get people to bend to her will. And this kind of can go into the Jace conversation as well. I don't know what Jace's problem is. And now, like, I'm getting mad at him, so he might have to go down in the ranking. But, like, he's so easily manipulated, and I don't know why. Like, stand up. If you stand for nothing, you fall for everything, Jace. And you're falling for everything, because people just have to say 2 words to you, and suddenly you want to work in their favor. Mel, then Ambessa, then Vi. Like, everybody's manipulating him left and right.
Yeah. and I expect him to not live past Act 2 of season
season
2.
2.
Yeah, that's my thought on him. Jace, I think, has run his course. I'm not sure that he's going to be a key part, and a main character. I think we're going to learn a lot more about the Arcane and what's happening there because it is waking up. And once that happens, I don't think that Jace is going to be needed as much. Yeah.
Because we know Caitlyn is a huge player, Jinx is a huge player, Vi, and then now Echo, because he's been in every teaser they've put out. And they're going to be pushing the story forward, and obviously the war, because now they've divulged into full-fledged war based off of Jinx's. See, Jinx, girl, and now look what's going to happen because of you blowing stuff up. But everybody, more people will die. There'll be more bloodshed.
Yeah, out of control. Like always, in the moment where something can be, it can go a completely different direction. Here comes Jinx with her doggone
bombs.
mess.
And also, like, I know she's not completely in her right mind anymore because Silco brought her back from the dead. I know she didn't die per se, but she was going to.
Yeah.
And he let that doctor get all up in her brain. And then she thought Caitlyn and Vi were the ones torturing her because she was already upset about things and about what happened on the bridge.
Right.
Which she's completely right not to trust Caitlyn. I'm not even... Like, I like her as a character, but remember where she comes from. Like, and then her mom just died on top of that. You think she's going to be making decisions to benefit the citizens of Zon? Absolutely not.
No, she's, exactly. She's about Piltover. She is. And whether she has a badge or whatever they have or not, but she is still an enforcer. Like, that is in
And she
in her
moves
mind.
up in the ranks in season 2. She's
Yeah.
like a captain, basically, or whatever Marcus was. She's filled that position now,
Okay.
And Vi, she even roped Vi into her mess.
Right. We
Vi,
saw that
wake
Vi
up.
dressed up as an enforcer.
And it's like, wake up.
I don't like that on her.
I don't like that either.
Yeah.
Take it off.
Like, you belong in Zon.
Or in the middle.
Right.
I don't know, but to
Like
become
the peacemaker.
right, like you hated the enforcers in season 1 because the girl you like told you that you should join the force of people who actively oppress your people every day. You gonna do it? Stand up.
Yeah, I expect her to kind of become the ruler of both. Like, that's originally what I thought her path was. Is she is to be the one to bring the peace.
I think it'll be Jinx.
Interesting.
Cause
I don't know, because Jinx is, she is like, something goes wrong, and
I know,
she's
but
like
she's gonna start her path of growth.
ready to go to war.
I think she's gonna start her path of growth, and I think that the roles, based off of the art that we've seen, based off the teasers that we've seen from season 2, the Jinx will be the one saving Vi in season 2.
Right. So
which
I
think will be
wonder
interesting.
if the Shimmer is kind of like stabilizing her.
I think the people around her are going to stabilize her because Shimmer is an allegory for addiction, I think. And like with Victor and Jinx, at least, and everybody else as well who ends up taking it. It's an addiction. And it affects the way that you treat the people around you. It affects the way that you think. And that's what keeps her grounded is her relationship.
And I know this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it's the line that I have here. I wonder if Savika is the doctor's daughter.
Well, that would be interesting.
Because,
why did you end up thinking that?
Well, she's been there all along, and, she's been so intertwined with Silco. But then also, like we've seen in the trailer for season 2, that she's going to be helping Jinx, right? So the way that she's moving, it just, it makes me wonder if she's the daughter that the doctor's talking about, because it just to me it makes sense in my mind. Like
when she made that comment about daughters and stuff,
right?
Come on,
Yes. So I think she's, I'm gonna keep that. I'm betting on that. I think she's the daughter, and she's gonna have a bigger part in taking down, taking him down in season 2 and putting an end to the Shimmer.
That would be interesting. I'm interested to see how they build her character more because she has a lot of interesting scenes, but I want some more to her character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think we're going to get her backstory, which is because she's like one of the only ones now
that
we
doesn't
don't
have one.
Yeah. So why? So
her and the doctor don't.
Right. So something's going to come where we're going to find out what's happening with those two, and I'm betting it's she's his daughter.
But yeah, and yeah. So, did you think anything of like Caitlyn? This now we'll just transition topics. But did you think anything of like what happened with Caitlyn and Vi, their fight in Oil and Water and stuff
Yeah,
like that?
well, the fact that they weren't mixing as much anymore, and it really was because more so because of where they came from. Um, Vi being from the underground and Caitlyn being from Piltover, and it just was not acceptable. And I don't think that Caitlyn's parents know about her. And there were just so many different things that was going on where, I don't think that they think that it could work with them two being together. They were just on two different paths, right? Like I said, I think Vi was to be the savior, and here's Caitlyn so bent on taking down Vi's sister and kind of destroying or controlling the underground and kind of keeping them suppressed. So I think there's that battle. That another war there between those two in terms of right and wrong.
Because I don't think Caitlyn means to, but I do, and especially now that we know season 2 is coming, she about to get crazy.
Yeah.
I know she's about to get crazy, and that oppressive mindset is gonna come out. And all the stills we've seen of Vi as an enforcer, she doesn't look happy.
Right.
So I feel like the way that Caitlyn is acting is based off of her anger towards Jinx for what happened with when she blew that place down, and that's why it would be interesting to me if some of the council members survived, but and some didn't, because I feel like
change of the regime.
I think I mean, obviously out with the old and with the new, but I think some of them still being alive would move this narrative forward in some interesting ways. I mean, we know Caitlyn's mom is off the table, because she would have to be for the entirety of season 2 to progress.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm interested to see how Caitlyn and Vi, their relationship progresses as well, because they only spent a short amount of time together, but obviously they had feelings for each other, and that's why Vi was acting crazy all the time, not thinking, because she was essentially, and again, like Caitlyn doesn't mean to, but I feel like she influences the way that Vi thinks, and sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse, and especially when it comes to Jinx, I think Vi is kind of losing sight of the fact that she needs to remember her sister is still in there. Vi, remember what Vander told you. Who are you willing to lose?
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, she wants to win so bad that she doesn't, think sometimes. That is her fault. What's going to happen now? Because
we don't even know what happened to Victor.
No, we don't. And I expect that this is why the Arcane, it woke up. It's going to wake up because it's taking over Victor, right? It's going to merge with Victor. That's what I'm expecting.
Gonna channel itself through him.
Yeah.
I think so. That'll be interesting. I'm too excited.
Yeah, less than 24 hours at this point. So
yeah, and then when season 2 comes out, we will post our thoughts as soon as we can. We're gonna watch it tomorrow.
Yes.
If work doesn't keep me trapped there, we'll watch it tomorrow and then film tomorrow night.
Right. And then you can edit and post whenever you have time. That would be great.
And so, but let us know your thoughts, your comments, questions in the comments below.
Yes. Like, comment, and subscribe like Marina's telling you all. And don't forget to let us know what you're thinking, because I think we posed some pretty good questions that I want to hear some thoughts on where you guys think season 2 is going.
Yeah. And thank you guys again.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.